We've got a great show lined up for you here on Retiring Well, starting off with the top 5 low-risk investments for retirees. There's a variety of options out there, and you want to make sure that you're exploring all these different types of accounts. Second, we're going to be talking about strategies to live off interest only in retirement. So there's different ways that you can protect your portfolio potentially and then generate an income stream. How to retool your retirement plan after a divorce. I hope that's not you, but if so, there's different ways that you should be handling things. And then lastly, 5 reasons you should never retire. I don't know if you want to be paying too close of attention to that one, but it's one where maybe that applies to you and you may not want to retire and you may want to be thinking through some of those options. So all this and a whole lot more coming up right here on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
Let's talk through the top 5 low-risk types of accounts for retirees. So retirement, as we all know, can be scary. It's after 40 to 50 plus years of work, now all of a sudden you've changed your lifestyle, you're not working anymore, and now you're depending on those retirement investments to last you through those golden years. And you want to ensure that financial stability that is going to be so crucial. And that's sort of the whole purpose of our Retiring Well television show and the tagline, Plan to Retire Well. It's so vital to make sure that you have things planned out well. So let's walk through again 5 different accounts to consider in retirement. The first safe option that you may look at are certificates of deposit. You'd find those at your bank or your credit union. It's a set term, a set interest rate, so you know how long you're invested and what return you're going to get. The challenge there is different interest rates. Obviously, especially as of late, we've seen the Fed changing interest rates, and that's had a trickle-down effect of what you're seeing as far as the offerings within CDs. Number 2, you could shift more to bonds. Now, these are going to be issued by government, by corporations. They're going to be a lower risk than obviously stocks, and so your interest is going to be predictable, and it's helpful as a diversification tool. Traditionally, when you're building a retirement portfolio, you commonly hear, well, I've got some certain stock percentage of the portfolio, you've got a bond percentage. They're going to be the lower risk side of those types of investments. The one thing we'd encourage you to be careful of here is the issuer's credit worthiness. That could be vital. So if you ever hear the term like a junk bond, those are going to be a higher risk. They might also pay a higher interest rate, but you just want to be aware of that. A third option to look at are maybe dividend-paying stocks. These come from established companies. They provide like a regular income stream through their dividends. They're going to provide that maybe somewhat consistent income, but then there's also that capital appreciation potential, and that may help you keep pace with inflation and growth that you need within your overall portfolio. Again, an area where we encourage you to be careful, though, is market volatility. This is a stock. There's risk associated with it. The dividends can also change as the company can declare what those changes are, so there's no guarantees associated with dividend-paying stocks. Examples of such might be, the Procter & Gamble, the McDonald's, Coca-Cola, DTE, these companies that are well established, have a long history. Again, those are just a few examples of those types of stocks. Number 4, fixed annuities, or sometimes they're referred to as MYGAs, multi-year guaranteed annuities. So these would be held through insurance companies. Again, would come with sort of a set term, so it might be 3 years and it's fixed at a certain interest rate. So you can sometimes build a laddered fixed annuity structure where you might have 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years, so those funds are maturing at different dates. And of course, you want to make sure that, that those types of accounts align with your specific goals. One thing to be careful of with these, there's limited liquidity. Some of those account offerings might only offer where you can take out the interest earnings for that, that set term, or sometimes they might limit you to a maximum of, say, 10% a year. Number 5 would be fixed indexed annuities. I think this is an area that a lot of times advisors aren't talking about. It might be because the advisor may not be licensed to offer that, or their company or corporation that they work for doesn't offer that as a different type of account in retirement. But these are tied to a certain index, such as the S&P 500, where they might set an annual cap, let's say, of 10%. Where you don't have downside risk exposure if the market drops, but on the upside you're limited or capped at a certain return. So at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we focus a lot on more of those conservative investment options and retirement specifically. So there's a lot of different tools that you can use in retirement, and we encourage you to give us a call and talk through what might be the appropriate fit for you.
If you are nearing retirement or already retired, we invite you to an informative live event to help you plan to retire well. Call 888-608-5825 or register online and choose the date and location that works best for you. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and tends to fill quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or register online to reserve your seats today.
Wouldn't it be great to live off just the interest and have your retirement portfolio last throughout retirement? Well, yeah, right? That's everybody's dream. So how do you come up with those numbers? How do you determine how much you need to save so that you can live off the interest alone in retirement? So today, let's talk about that. So the first step is going to be to figure out what your expenses actually are. Okay, so add them all up. What's the mortgage payment? What's the car payment? What's the tractor payment, right? Tally all of that up. And also, if you're approaching retirement age, maybe it's you got 4 or 5 years out till you're going to be retired, potentially that mortgage or the car payment's going to be paid off at that point in time. So take that into consideration as well. Maybe your expenses are going to be a little bit lower when you actually retire compared to where they're at today. Okay, so add up all those expenses. And one more reminder on that front, don't forget to add in the fun. Okay, make sure you're budgeting for the fun. You've worked your entire life for this golden age, if you will, in retirement. Make sure that you're enjoying it as well. So budget in that fun. The next step would be to determine what your contractual lifetime income amounts to on a monthly basis. So these would be things like your Social Security benefit, maybe your spouse's Social Security benefit. Are you one of the lucky ones that actually has a pension benefit as well? Add all of that up. I also have some clients where they have rental producing income. So, you can include that as well. It's not necessarily guaranteed, right? But if that's something that you're counting on in retirement, you should also have that in your overall budget as well. So once you've done that, you've got your expenses all tallied up and then your guaranteed income sources all tallied up. What does that look like? Okay, let's say for an example, your guaranteed income sources are $4,000 a month. That's between your Social Security and your spouse's Social Security, and maybe you have a pension as well. Okay, so that adds up to $4,000 a month. And then your expenses. Okay, you went through that, you tallied it all up, and you got $7,000 a month for your expenses. So what does that mean? Well, we call it a shortfall, right? You've only got $4,000 of guaranteed income, yet your expenses amount to $7,000 a month. So you have a shortfall of $3,000 a month. So this is great. It gives us a starting point, right? It says, hey, I need $36,000 a year in retirement to meet my needs and live the way that I want to live. So that helps us determine what your number is actually going to be, what that number that you need to get to save for retirement. So one of the old general rules is called the rule, the 4% rule, okay? It was coined back in 1994 by a financial professional by the name of Bill Bengen, okay? And basically what he did is he went back and looked at history and said, okay, from 1926 through 1976, how did stocks and bonds perform? And if I would have taken out X amount from my portfolio over that time, what would have yielded a portfolio that would have lasted my entire retirement? And basically his calculations came to that golden 4% rule, if you will. So that's a good general rule of thumb that we like to start with. Obviously, there's a lot of different variables associated with that, but it's a good start. Okay, so if you need $36,000 a year in retirement to meet your needs, well, just divide that by 4%, and that's going to come up with what you need to have saved for retirement to live off the interest throughout your golden years there. So 36 divided by the 4%, or 36,000 divided by 4%, and you're at $900,000. So that's saying at a safe withdrawal rate of 4%, you need $900,000 saved for retirement to hopefully have your portfolio last until you are passed away. So again, there's lots of different variables that go into that. Here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we have a software program called Retirement Analyzer. It allows us to put in a lot more information than just what I did there. It accounts for inflation, taxes, what happens if one spouse dies before the other, and so forth. And we can go through by the numbers and help you determine what that safe withdrawal rate is and how living off the interest of your portfolio could be a possibility throughout retirement.
Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well. The success of your retirement depends on a solid financial plan. If you are retired or nearing retirement, we invite you to an informative live event to help you plan to retire well. Our presentation will address important questions such as how will the new administration impact your retirement? What does the recent Fed interest rate cut mean for your portfolio? Are you worried about outliving your retirement savings? How can you maximize your Social Security benefits? What tax changes are coming in 2025? And much more. Call 888-608-5825 or register online and choose the date and location that works best for you. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. Call 888-608-5825 or register online to reserve your seats today.
Something that nobody wants to think about or thinks may happen to them, but talking about divorce, and specifically divorce and then your retirement plan. What does that look like if you happen to be going through a divorce or went through a divorce, and what could that have a negative impact on your retirement plan? So when we look out there, obviously divorce can be disruptive all the way to devastating, obviously with your current financial situation and into the future. So when we look at this right now, according to Forbes, 43% of first marriages right now are ending in divorce, 60% of second marriages are ending in divorce, and 73% of third marriages end in divorce. And then we found it was interesting that 6% of couples that happen to get divorced end up remarrying each other. So of that, when you do that, 73% of them stay married for the rest of their lives. So when you look at these different interesting statistics out there, obviously there's a fair amount of people that are dealing with divorce and that sort of process. So when we look at this divorce and the terms that you may hear out there, another one that has gotten popular as a term, at least over the years, is something called gray divorce. And this is for something that they reference with specifically if the couple age 50 or older is going through a divorce. It's interesting, since 1990, the divorce rate for Americans age 55 or older has doubled, and over 65 and older has tripled since 1990. So an interesting piece there of how that obviously can affect it. As you can imagine, the later in life one may get divorced, sometimes the more challenging it is to kind of retool back into those retirement years and have that plan. What are some things you should be looking for if this happens to you or you're going through this process? One, there's something called a qualified domestic relations order. Some people call it a quadro. These get put in place if you're splitting up qualified plans, 401k plans, such like that. If you're younger than 59 and a half, remember there could be early withdrawal penalties and stuff like that. These orders put in place allow you to move those funds to each other's portfolios or accounts without some of those penalties and taxes that go into place. Also, understand your Social Security benefits. What are your potential spousal benefits if you're going to be drawing off of your now ex-spouse, and the rules and regulations that go along with that sort of situation. Health insurance planning. Did one of you carry health insurance for the other person, and now maybe one of these individuals has to go out on the marketplace or through their employer, or maybe you're 65 and older and Medicare is involved and all that sort of stuff. But making sure you're looking at that and having the appropriate health insurances in place. Creating an inventory of all of your investments and assets. You know, going through and this little account you forgot about over here, and maybe you open this account or a life insurance account. You know, gather up all those assets and make sure you understand what they are, what they're worth, how they function, whose name they're in. While you're doing that, look at beneficiaries. Obviously, most people have as a primary beneficiary their spouse on, as that if something was to happen to them. You may not want that anymore if you're going through a divorce, right? So make sure you're going through and updating those, because guess what? Beneficiary designations are like written in stone. You know, when those happens, if you haven't made that adjustment and God forbid something happens to you, guess what? It's going to what you have as that beneficiary designation. So make sure you have those up to date to the appropriate people, whether they're children, siblings, friends, whoever you want those things to go to, charities in some cases. Again, make sure they're up to date, especially going this time through that. Your retirement plan. Obviously, you probably were planning on two Social Securities, 2 incomes, 2 groups of assets, all this sort of stuff, and maybe now you're in a situation where it's just one. What is those? Where is the sources of income looking at? And then what does the budget look like? Have you had an increase or decrease in expenses? And sometimes, even though you're going from a 2-person household to a 1-person household, sometimes you see an increase in cost, right? Housing and all that sort of stuff that happens during that time. So it's really important to, and obviously, if you're still working, look at that contribution and all that sort of stuff going into plan. How are you setting aside savings during these times and all of that? And finally, maybe you have to adjust your lifestyle during that time. Again, when you look at out there and look at your goals and what do you still want to achieve, not only in the workplace, in your social life and family and all this sort of stuff, you know, consider that lifestyle and that. So if you're going through this process, you're not alone. We here at Centennial Wealth Advisory help folks through this during this time. So if you have questions, comments, concerns when it comes to that, and if you just want a second set of eyes on things, let us know. We'll help you through that process so you can still plan to retire well.
Dave Pfister here with Jim Sanborn, Veterans in Crisis. We're part of the all-volunteer board of directors, and we have just finished another incredible outing here at Lock and Heath Golf Club in September 2024. We seem to get lucky every year, not just with the weather, but with the tremendous support we get from the community. Folks like Centennial Wealth have been long-time supporters.
Centennial Wealth has been a supporter since the start of this event. They do a great job. The Lock and Heath members have been very supportive of what we do. We raise a lot of money for needy veterans in northern Michigan.
We're just so proud to have the support that we have, and we thank you so very much. We're blessed. Thank you.
We're
excited to be out here supporting veterans in crisis. This is for several years now. Centennial Wealth Advisory has been a proud sponsor. One of the things that we feel great about supporting veterans in crisis is the money stays in the northern Michigan community, just like our folks watching the Retiring Well television show. We want to be part of the northern Michigan community, and so proud of the men and women that have served our country, and we want to be able to give back to them. And this is a great opportunity with the Veterans in Crisis Golf event year in and year out.
Hey, Jack Klunder here with Centennial Wealth Advisory. We are just enjoying a beautiful day in northern Michigan, supporting an awesome cause, Veterans in Crisis. And one of the beautiful things is that, we get to just take a moment to pause, and we have the beautiful sunshine, the beautiful views of this golf course where we just spend a day and reflecting for everything that our veterans have done for us, for the men and the women that served so brilliantly and bravely so that we can enjoy these kind of freedoms. We're forever thankful for that. So we love being able to support Veterans in Crisis because they serve specifically northern Michigan men and women that have served our country. And so we appreciate that so much, and enjoy this day and reflect.
What I want to share with you today is the connection between financial wellness and physical and emotional health. And I want to draw that to you through a few statistics, and then I'm going to talk to you about solutions. So I don't want to just list the problem, but I also share with you possible solutions for you. So this is from a Market Watch guide survey of 2,000 Americans. So I'll read some of this really quick, and then like I said, I'll talk to you about possible options for you to have peace of mind through this. So 65% say finances are their biggest source of stress. Number 2, 41% agreed that my finances have destroyed my mental health. That's a pretty big statement. Number 3, 57% said they must choose between prioritizing their finances or their mental health. 4, 92% reported negative physical effects due to their financial stress. Number 5, 56% reported losing sleep because of financial stress. Number 6, 45% reported headaches due to financial stress. And number 7, 38% complained of fluctuations in weight because of the financial stress. So as you can see from these survey results, there's a lot of worry and stress out there, and it's connected not only to their physical but their mental health due to their finances. This is something that a lot of people are worried about and having to deal with, and you might be one of them as well. However, here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we've helped thousands of clients and people all over northern Michigan work through these stresses. Our goal is to move you from a point of fear and stress to a point of peace of mind. And we have the tools and the ability to provide you with the solutions that can help you do that. So we'd be more than happy to meet with you. And throughout this series, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what are the issues as far as impacting me that are causing me to not be financially well. We're going to have some fun with that and correlate that to your physical and emotional health. But the key thing is we want to move you from a place of fear and concern and worry to a place of peace of mind.
Five reasons you should never retire. Let's get after it. First one, if you're working, you can leave those investments that you have to grow. There's a good line that says, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. So if you're working and you're not retiring, you can let those investments grow. Maybe you've invested in, real estate. Maybe you invested in gold, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Yeah, you have that unique genius of an idea that you brought to market, and you're just going to let those investments have some returns while you still work. That's a great planning tool as when you finally do maybe retire. The next thing would be you're going to get a higher Social Security check likely. You think about from age 62 to your full retirement age, your Social Security growth of your payments each month, or each year rather, is about 6%. And then from your full retirement age to age 70, that Social Security benefit is growing about 8% a year. So if you're working, you're going to let your contractual lifetime income from Social Security grow. The next one is that likely at this stage, if you're thinking about retiring, you've had a long work history. And to me, that means that likely you're going to have a lot of wisdom. There's going to be life experiences that you've gone through that allow you to give back at your work. We have clients that they've been able to take everything that they've learned, all those life-defining moments, good and bad, and they pass it along to other people. They pass that wisdom and that expertise, that support. Sometimes their ability to go to work with a good attitude, with a consistent show-up rate, they don't even know who they're affecting because people are watching them. And maybe it's a younger worker that needs to get that wisdom and experience and that consistency that you might be providing. And so not only is it your own fulfillment and giving back to your work, you might be having an impact you don't even know about. Another thing is you're going to lead an active lifestyle. A lot of times the demands of work, the routine of work, the mission of work gets you into that groove that you can find a really healthy balance. I've had retirees that say, yeah, I'm thinking about retiring, and then before they finally retire, we say, well, what about, just getting a tweak to your schedule? So it's not a full retirement. It's just you're going to spend 15, 20 hours a week at your job. They go to their boss and they say, hey, what does this look like? And more times than not, the boss is like, we do not want to lose you. Absolutely, let's work this out. And it offers some more margin, and so they've been able to have some incredible impact on the different projects they've been assigned to. Because they haven't retired, they're still engaged, they're still in that routine, but they're doing it from a perspective of this like crystallized learning that is just a powerful spot to be in. Next thing is maybe you can learn new skills. It's not that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't believe in that at all. I think that your lifelong learning is your secret to happiness. And if you're that, experienced worker with the wisdom, you might have some spunky new little employee that has some really cool ideas or knows something that they can actually teach you, and you can release some endorphins in your brain by being able to learn something new and be energized. And so if you're working and you're opening yourself up to learning from other people, it can bring a lot of fulfillment into your work, and you can continue to be that lifelong learner. Okay, what if I said that you're sitting there and you're like, hey Jack, that's not even close to me. Okay, you're sick and tired of being sick and tired because of the hustle and bustle of your work and your job. No problem, okay? In my opinion, then you should go find a financial advisor that you trust that takes a holistic approach, sit down with them and do some planning. Recently, I had a client, 57 years old, high stress job, it was killing her. She said, I'm gonna retire, how do I do it? We went through, we mapped out this strategy. She took a 6-month sabbatical. And then after she rested, she went on these trips with her kids. She just took some time off to decompress from that. She's currently in the job force looking for this, maybe being a parapro at a school for the schedule and for the giving back to those other kids. She's gonna take all her wisdom and experience, her love and joy, and pass it along to other people. And it's just gonna be at a different pace and in a different place. And so, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this segment, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.